see Hall coming. Lee Newsom, I should say, should see Hall coming. And in fact, Hall already trying to get alongside on the attack. He's only just caught them and he's right there. Here's Hardy now with Savage having caught him back up. And it looks like a battle for second. Indeed, the battle for second is back on. 4-car battle now. It's Micheál Balfe heading this one up. They've managed to close him down as Newsom got away. And Newsom just so dominant in this race. Balfe, Hardy, Savage and young David Parks going well to hang on to the leaders in this one. On board with Hall again. Not sure if that's he's past Newsom or is that Lee Newsom up in front. He's probably made up another place. He really is on a charge now as he heads down towards turn 3. Very quick through that first apex. Down a gear and turns in to get up the hill. In fact, that is Newsom, so probably a mistake for Hall dropping him back a little bit. Needs to get up to Gary Newsom again. Hardy having to defend, going to the inside of Dunlop corner, but moving back towards the outside to stop Savage getting that run at him on the way out that we've seen earlier on. And young Parks, in fact, Savage losing his nose cone. That's par for the course in Formula Sheane. He rarely finishes with a nose cone on that car, Anton Savage. And it allows him perhaps to drive a little bit closer to the car in front. Certainly looks very aggressive now as the Formula Sheane livery car begins to give Brian Hardy a work over there through turn 2. Newsom again well ahead. And it's Balfe with a little bit of a breather as Hardy has to defend from Savage. That third place battle is the one we're going to watch now. Hardy down at turn 3, not leaving the door open at all. That should compromise the speed a little bit on the run back up the hill and allows David Parks in fact to close in. And here's the battle rejoined because Hall has now hauled in Lee Newsom again and gets a good run out of turn 3. Grabs 4th gear. Newsom goes to the inside. Can he do a Gary Newsom down the inside? Doesn't manage it that time. Has to go back to the outside. Be looking to have a go into Dunlop corner. That's the premier overtaking spot at Mondello Park. Grabs 4th gear again halfway through turn 3. The car moving around, but Newsom knows it and goes to the inside to defend early on. In fact, has Savage got down the inside of Brian Hardy? I think he has. Savage right down the inside. Hardy trying to fight back, and in fact, young David Parks having a go at Brian Hardy now. So good run from Savage off Dunlop corner, gets alongside and manages to stick it down the inside. And now David Hall in a wheel-to-wheel battle. I'm not sure who that is. We just saw a wheel. He doesn't lift off, lock to lock. Brave stuff from him then. In fact, waving at the fellow competitor who obviously gave him a little bit of space, perhaps half an inch there. But good racing back down through the field, and David Hall right in the middle of it. So a good choice for an onboard camera, obviously. Here comes Newsom again. Very, very impressive stuff from him in the Restex car at Dunlop corner. Micheál Balfe in second, the noseless Savage in third, then it's Hardy and David Parks. Checkered flag there for Gary Newsom. 2 out of 2. What a perfect day for the young Wicklow man in the Restex car. Fantastic stuff.
Gary, 2 out of 2 here today. You must be delighted with yourself.
Yeah, it was a great weekend now. I've had a terrible 2007 to be honest. This weekend's after put me right back into the championship hunt, so big thanks to the team and all the sponsors for keeping with me this year and keeping belief in me.
Well,
Gary Newsom takes win number 2 from Micheál Balfe, Anton Savage, Brian Hardy and David Parks.
well, that's it from myself and Matt here at Mondello Park. Another superb day's racing here from the Formula Sheanes. Why don't you join us next time for some more action? Welcome back. I'm here with Michael Rice driving for Formula Sheane. Michael, how are you getting on the championship this year?
I'm 11th at the moment in points wise. I have a few problems with the car recently, but I'm getting there.
And how did you get involved in motor racing?
I used to sponsor Brian Harty, and Brian used to do the V's for a long time. And Brian, I think, he's in first place at the moment in the points wise. And then I went along to him. He offered me down in Carcastown. He offered me a test day, and I went down, and that was about 3 years ago. And since that, I've been racing.
Christopher McCabe, you've got a great man of experience here beside you. Brian Hardy's your uncle.
He is indeed, yeah. Teaching me a lot.
And was he, like, just say, your inspiration to get into motor racing?
You could put it like that, yeah.
And how long have you been motor racing?
This is my second season.
And how are you finding it so far?
Tough, but we're getting there.
And Brian, I'm sure you've given lots of advice.
Oh, I have, yeah. I've sort of taken him under my wing. So you have to put a little bit back into the sport. No point taking everything out of it. I've had a lot of good years in the sport, so it's nice to see a young lad coming along. You like to help them.
I'm joined by Stephen Gross, who's racing for Formula Sheane today. Stephen, tell us a little bit about how the qualifying went.
It was pretty rough today. We had a heavy downpour and rain. They even stopped the race, a number of cars getting off. But I only qualified 18th, but I just wanted to get into the show this afternoon, so I was very careful.
And Stephen, that's not an Irish accent I hear. Tell us about what are you doing in Ireland?
I come over for the summer. This is my third summer. I'm a pilot. I work for a company called Frontier Airlines out of Spain. We fly all the Irish people to hot spots for the summer.
Well, we go to the grid then for the start of the Formula Sheane race. A couple of cars beginning to move ever so slightly there. I'm sure the observers will pick up on that a little bit later on. Aidan Byrne coming through on the outside, but through on the inside there is Michael Balfe. And a good run from Balfe just to tuck in ahead of Brian Harty. Michael Rice going through your shot there, gets himself out on the grass but manages to get back on track. Now somebody there else has gone through backwards there but manages to right themselves up at the head of the field. Then it is Michael Balfe from Brian Harty. Next up is David Hall with Pat Casey hot on his heels. So these four now beginning to pull away. And Casey has a look at the inside line. David Hall, though, very experienced racer, holding on to that third place. Casey right under the gearbox, though, of David Hall's car. Back at the head of the field, it's Michael Balfe. Still ahead of Brian Harty. There's Michael Rice coming through, trying to pick up a spot, getting very, very sideways through there. Hall then still holding on to that third place. Michael Balfe now trying to get his head down and wriggle away from Brian Harty. Brian Harty, of course, a multiple championship in other Formula in previous years, likes to win races from the front, but certainly a worthy challenger. And Michael Balfe having to defend at every corner now as Brian Harty crawls all over the gearbox of that Formula Sheane. Next is David Hall. Pat Casey seems to have dropped back a little bit from David Hall. These Formula Sheane cars very, very potent indeed. Capable of speeds of up to 150 miles an hour. Sometimes doesn't quite show it on TV, but certainly very, very quick. 0 to 60 in something like 4 seconds. So carrying an 1800cc Rover engine, the K-Series engine, in a very, very light chassis built by David Sheane in County Wicklow. But certainly are a beautiful car. They've got slick tyres, they've got wings, they've got all the bits and pieces that you like to play with. It's those four now, in fact three, headed by Michael Balfe, Brian Harty in second, David Hall third, Pat Casey dropping off a little bit off that battle, but the race leaders still there, and all the time now getting themselves away from Michael Rice, who's leading that group from 5th place. Bit of a gap back from 4th to 5th this time. Brian Harty had a look at the inside there, got to make his way through. Meanwhile, a good battle happening further back between Robbie Parks, Anton Savage and Henry Davis, and they're now beginning to get a bit of a move on. Henry Davis there has a look at the inside line, Savage on the outside, and the battle is heading up towards the front of the field as well, with Michael Balfe now really having to defend every corner from Brian Harty. David Hall also there. David Hall, of course, previous racer in the Dunlop Supercars, and of course raced previously in Formula Renault in the UK, so he's no slouch. It gives you some notion of the quality of this field, with Michael Balfe in front, Brian Harty second, David Hall in third. David Hall now getting in among them to try to mix it up. He's got out on the outside there. He could get it from Brian Harty through the left-hander. Great friends, of course, these two, and David Hall there showing his experience, though somewhat less experience perhaps than Brian Harty, but teed him up beautifully for that overtaking manoeuvre. Down they go then to turn 3, down at the end of the circuit, beginning to close up on some back markers already. David Hall now up to 3rd, Brian Harty deposed to 4th, Pat Casey running in 5th.